Mrs. Brown, wanna ride down, yeah, Mrs. Brown, you're too wicked, hey, hey, hey. Mrs. Brown, you can't ride down, Lord, under attack from friend and foe. From Mrs. Brown and Co. Under attack, Lord, I'm falling from her roadside track. Mama, under attack from Heckle and Jekyll. Them have a big time plot. Under attack, Lord, I'm falling from her roadside track. Lord. I wanna make two. I don't want to make four. I couldn't take the deal that they were giving, so I walked right over their door. Now Mrs. Brown, them a frown. I call that goose is gone. She planned a secret to walk. Say she wanna even low score. Lord, yeah. Mrs. Brown, oh Lord. Mrs. Brown, wanna hold down, can't hold Rasta. Mrs. Brown, you too wicked, hey, hey, hey. Mrs. Brown, wanna hold down, Lord, under attack from Sergeant and Corporal. Them up a big time plot. Under attack, Lord, I'm firing from her roadside track. Mama, under attack from friend and foe. From Mrs. Brown and Co. Under attack, Lord, I'm firing from her roadside.
All right, folks, let me say a special greetings and welcome to all of you locked into that space at this time. It's about 5 minutes past the good old hour of 6 o'clock. Yes, today being the 16th day of July 2023. And that is a spot that you got. And we ask you to keep it locked because much information is about to come your way at this time from the Civic Vibes platform that is streamed live on social media, namely Facebook and YouTube, each and every Sunday from 6 o'clock. So this evening, we're about to have a very, very interesting program, two-segmented program that is with two very special invited guests. One in the name of Mr. Stanley Paul from Dominica. Yes, Dominica, Dominic in the house. And also our own leading local sports commentator will come in sometimes later to basically help us understand in his way what he thinks went on with the West Indies about 2-3 days ago at our Windsor Park Sports Stadium when they played that international match between themselves and India. So we are talking sports, we're talking cricket this afternoon. And so we ask now that you share the live as we're moving on. Share the live, make someone know that the Civic Vibes program is on and that they too can participate in the program by calling these numbers, calling into the program. If you wish, they are 245-2396. Again, the numbers to call, 245-2396. That is the Lime allocated number. And the DG allocated number.
Lofty, we are not hearing you.
Yeah, we're not hearing. Yeah.
All right. So, yes, we have that space. Alvin?
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you clearly. Come up a little more.
Are you hearing me now?
A little, just a little more.
You heard me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So you can go ahead and do your opening statements now.
All right. Okay, great, man. Great.
I can't
Can you hear us?
I can't hear you too well.
Stanley, we'll get to you in a while.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lofty, thank you, my brother. Thank you again for another wonderful Sunday afternoon Civic Vibe program. Pleasant good afternoon to you and all our many fans who have already logged in. They're coming in fast and furious, as they say. It's always a pleasure. Of course, this afternoon we are looking at cricket, but I must say though, I would like the conversation to go within the much broader context and framework not just the game itself, which I know we all enjoy, we all look forward to, but I think there is so much more to cricket than just playing of the game. The little research that I did recently on that suggests that that's a game that goes well beyond almost 160 years old. That's a long time, Lofty, long time. I've seen so many different institutions come and go. So hopefully we'll have a very engaging conversation with our guest, Stanley Paul. Pleasure to meet you, Stanley. Good to have you.
Pleasure to meet you too, yeah.
Yes, and then of course, my good old friend, Ozzy Luis. Ozzy is my good old friend. Ozzy and I worked together back in those good old days in the government service. So it'll be a pleasure to have Ozzy on board on the next hour of the show. So I'm looking to a very engaging conversation. I'm sure our folks who are there with us will themselves be engaged. Pleasant good afternoon to everyone in Dominica, out of Dominica, tune in. And let's sit back, let's pull a drink, and let's enjoy the program.
All right, indeed. Thank you very much, Alvin, for your opening remarks here. Again, it's a pleasure to welcome each and every one of you tuned into Civic Vibes at this time. Without further ado, let me move across to our special invited guests for the first segment of the program in the name of Brother Stanley Paul. Mr. Paul, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you, Lofty. Good afternoon. And how are you doing?
As they would say in Dominica, Sakafet.
Sakafet, mela.
All right.
Mukachebe 4.
Well, Stanley, you are here, and on behalf of Civic Vibes and the many folks tuned in at this time across the globe and in Dominica, we want to say a special greetings to you and welcome to that space there this afternoon, where we're going to talk to you, have a very intimate conversation, as it were, about your life, about, you know, the sports that you played and making a name for yourself as a Dominican living in Canada at this time. So by way of just a brief introduction, can you just tell the people who you are, where you hail from in Dominica primarily?
Well, basically, I'm from the West Coast, you know, I'm from Layu, St. Joseph, you know, and Mero. I always try to put these three villages together in one, you know. That's where I'm from. And I'm happy to be from that part of Dominica, the West Coast.
John West Coast.
Yeah, man.
All right, brothers. Thank you very much for your opening here. Let me get to the live feed so that we can big up some of you who are here watching and listening first. Mali Ostri, you are here. Good evening to you. Claralyn Warrington. We also have Simeon George. You're looking as well and listening. David Joseph. Good evening to you, my bro. Arlene Pierre, Eliza Louis Gomes, you're also there. Brian Francis, you're also there in the house. Bernard Allen over there in the UK at this time, some hours ahead. But Bernard is up and is making time for that all-important program right here on Civic Vibes. We also have Curlin Sanders, Dory Drago, brother from Grand Bay. Good evening to you, my bro. Always locked in at this time. Thank you very much indeed. Dave Bertrand, I call him a usual suspect of Civic Vibes. Olivia Esprit, Mavella Defoe, Carol Olivachi, Bruni, also a brother up there in the north of Dominica, brother Pat Corbett, tuned in a while ago. To you and your family, Pat, a special good evening to you. And to all of those of you who are viewing and watching at this time, we will get back to that live list so that we can continue saying a hi and hello to you guys out there. Remember, the program, it is being streamed live as we speak, both on YouTube and on Facebook. And remember, if you missed the program and you want to catch up on it, there's a podcast as well available on our website so that you can go to civicvibes.com and listen to any program that you miss. That's the beauty of technology, you know, so you don't have to miss a thing. So yes, folks, good evening. We're going to have that all-important program here with our brother, Stanley Paul. Brother Alvin Thomas, before we, you know, sort of take flight, anything you want to punch in there?
No, well, as I said, we're looking forward to a very engaging conversation. I mean, West Indies, the West Indies team and West Indies cricket is not just a West Indies thing. It's an international thing. No matter where you are, it's an international thing. So it's not a sport just localized to those of us in the region. I mean, I'm sure Stanley will get into that later on. And of course, when our second guest comes on, Aussie. But I mean, Lofty, I remember the days, I mean, when there were folks right now in Dominica with the game that just played in Dominica, who flew in from the US to see the game, who flew in from Canada to see the game. I mean, when West Indies is playing in England or wherever, I mean, you can see the energy, the excitement that goes with the game. So it's an institution. That's how I describe it. So obviously we'll have a very interesting discussion with Stanley to get his own perspective on where he sees things and hopefully where things are likely to be going. I think that's where we want to take the conversation. And then, of course, as I said, when our historian, Osborne Ozzy Luis, comes on board, I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about the sports and the whole organization as a whole, as we look at it. So it's going to be very interesting, and I'm looking forward to the engagement.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. We're all looking forward to that engagement. Some folks are just tuned in. Gertrude Abraham Dejean just tuned in as well. Glenda Lavi Duburton, you're there. Veronica Pascal. Who else just tuned in? Juanita Prince, Indira Telemark, Ashby Scotland. Those of you just tuned in, we want to wish you guys a pleasant good afternoon as well. Okay, Brother Paul, let us get into the meat of things here. Just give the listening public and viewing public as well an idea just where did that love for the game, cricket that is, came to you? Just where and what have you been doing since?
Well, to talk the truth, you know, I've been playing cricket as long as I can remember. Since I was a little boy, you know, in Layu on the beach, you know, for those of you that know Layu and the beach, you know, and the river, you know, that's where everything started. My father was a good cricketer. Cricket is in our blood. I actually learned cricket as a little kid with my first cousin, Mility, Harry Mility. And he played for Dominica a couple of games. And that's where I started. But I also have cricket in my blood based on Irving and Grayson Shillingford. Their grandfather, Howell Shillingford, was my granduncle, my father's uncle. They played for West Indies. So cricket is in our blood, you know what I mean? Since I know myself, I've been playing cricket. Up to now, I'm 62, and now I'm on the Canadian national team, going to a World Cup in India at that age, over 60s, and playing against different countries and going to play against all the different ex-test players that some of us heard about. And it's something that I'm really excited about.
Yes,
to go
indeed,
to India.
indeed. Yes, indeed. But just before we get to your forte, as it were, in Canada, that is where you're residing now. You spoke about you being from Layu, St. Joseph, that neck of the wood in Dominica. Give us an idea, sir. How was it in those days in terms of sports on a whole, including cricket that you played?
Well, in the late 60s, 69, 70, 71, up to around 80, maybe mid 80s, cricket was really big, not only around the country, but on the West Coast. Everybody was playing cricket. Like, you play cricket everywhere, every little corner, you know, just everywhere. And in the mid 80s, things just changed. And I noticed how things really change. And I'm sure there might be a lot of people that know about that would listen to what I'm saying and say, yeah, this really happened for true. Like, in every village when I was about 16, 17, 18, every village in Dominica, especially on the West Coast, there was an under-19 cricket team. Miro had an under-19 cricket team, Layu had one, Senjo had one. I remember Mahu had his own. I remember Masad had, and we used to play cricket against grammar school, against academy. We used to play cricket against Saints and Celtics, under 19. I'm talking about all under 19s. And there were a lot of us that went to Dominica trials, under 19 and the senior team. And there were a lot of guys that never went to high school and used to make the Dominica team. But there was a time when things changed and they start playing under 19 cricket just among the school, just among the schools. And so the guys and them that didn't get the opportunity to go high school, they never had the chance anymore to play under 19 cricket in their own villages. And so under 19 cricket just died. And that is where we all noticed that cricket just, there was just a breakdown in cricket. There was not much cricket playing anymore because it was only concentrating around the schools. So then people start to blame the young kids, the young guys around, they do this, they do that, they're not participating, but there was nothing for them.
Yeah, so you are saying that change in terms of the number of persons that could have the opportunity to play the game of cricket, that in your estimation contributed to the sort of, should I say, demise of the game in Dominica to a large extent?
Yes, trust me, I know what I'm saying because I'm part of it. I was part of it. You know what I mean? And when it changed, then all the young guys in the villages, there was nothing else to do. And I personally feel to myself, they have to bring it back because that is where the foundation of Dominica cricket really lies. When you have the village competition, you have the villagers playing cricket, the young guys playing cricket, that will make Dominica strong again, and West Indies too.
True, yeah. Somebody's already agreeing with you here. Maury Jules is writing here. We need to bring back our grassroots school leagues. Would you agree with that?
Yes, not just among the school because the school has it already. But notice something too. Even when the guys go to grammar school and academy and wherever the schools are in Dominica that they play, what happened to them after they finish play? The under 19s, they go back to the villages and there is nothing to do. You understand? There is nothing organized. There is nothing. They just go back to whatever. You know what I mean? For us to really come back to where cricket was, cricket has to start from where it was broken down, if you understand what I mean, right?
Yes.
We got to bring club cricket. Somerset is the team that I played with from time I was a little guy. We still play. It is said that in Dominica, Somerset and Swinging Stars are the two longest serving kind of a club, / cricket music in Dominica. Where is Celtics? Where is Saints? Where is Cavaliers? Where is all those teams? You remember the West Coast? We had our team. There was Somerset. There was Maho had a team. There was the Pelicans from Dublin. There was Top Ranking from Salisbury and Terras and all the West Coast, like Dublin. I'm not Dublin, but Cordy who had its team. Stone Ridge or something like that. I mean, there was cricket going on, and something has happened, and it's really depressing to see what happened to Dominica in terms of cricket and where the young people and them, are moving forward. Sports is a great part of our development in life. It doesn't matter how much education you have. Sports and education, to me, goes hand in hand.
True.
You know what I mean?
True. Alvin, you want to chime in there?
Yes, well, yeah, I am listening attentively to Stanley, and I can hear the passion in his voice. in what he's saying. But let me ask you, Stanley. You've sort of diagnosed the problem, put it this way, an absence, a disappearance of the sport. From where you are in Canada and whatever contacts and, that connections that you have, is that a situation unique to Dominica, or would you say something throughout the region? Because the reason why I'm asking that is because obviously for West Indies to have a formidable team, the recruits have to come from the islands, from Dominica, Antigua, Barbados, Grenada, wherever. Yes. So what you have just described, is it unique to Dominica, and which in a way then have an impact on West Indies, or what is your take on that?
Well, to talk the truth, I lived in Antigua for about 5 years. I played on Viv Richards' team, that is St. John's Antigua, that's St. John's team. I played with Evie Richardson and all those guys. I even played against Hugh Gore. Some of you guys may know Hugh Gore and those guys, right? I played against Hungry Walsh, all those guys. And in Antigua, I find they take the cricket much more serious. And I'm talking about I was in Antigua around 1985 to around 1990. And I played some really good cricket there. You know what I mean? And they take it a lot more serious than us. Every village, Banzil, everywhere, have a really good team that could even beat Dominica team, I tell you, man, like really good cricket. You understand? So I think it's just, I don't want to say just Dominica, but it's really bad down there. You know what I mean? It's much more improved. I live in St. Croix and St. Thomas. I went touring playing cricket there with Somerset, even with Sibo and Norbert Philippe and those guys. We were up there. And St. Thomas and St. Croix, I mean, they're not as, at that time, that was 1983, 84, them times there, they were not that big in cricket, but there was a lot of guys from St. Joseph, like Dominica and St. Kitts and other places playing there. And when I reached them, I was like, wow, really good cricket, man. You know what I mean? Competitive cricket. Guys taking it serious, you know? Guys putting effort. And Dominica was like that. Trust me, man. I'm 62, man. Dominica was like that and more. And somehow, I can tell you, when they bring that under 19 thing among the school, it just create a big gap.
Created a vacuum there. All right, Dory Drago is writing there. Cricket was our Sunday main event after church in South City, Granby, and the surrounding communities, where guys like Dave Bertrand and I grew up. We played, he's writing, for the love of the game. So one on the feed here, Dory Drago by name, is basically corroborating what you're saying and saying that cricket was played basically all over the island.
Yeah, I support what this gentleman is talking about. He knows exactly what he's saying, because we really need to come back to that. You know, another thing again that killed cricket is the way that somebody, and I don't want to call names, you know, because I know so much, but I don't want to call names. But a lot of those good cricketers that come from the West Coast, that played for West Indies and played for Dominica and Windward Island, they live in town, and they start believing that they were from town and kind of not being kind to the guys that come from the villages. You know what I mean? And we used to say, man, this guy's from there, and this guy's from, watch how they're treating us. You know, they think they're from town. You know, like, and then they're only picking guys that was from the Roseau teams. You know what I mean? Guys from Celtics, Saints, you know. Guys used to say to me, man, leave Somerset and come Roseau and play for Celtics, for Saints. You must make Dominica. You know what I mean? I never did it. I know some of my friends that did. You know, I said, no, I'm not going to do it. If you can't pick me from where I come from, You know, I'm on trials like you guys, and I'm not going to leave and come Rosso because, and I never did. I never did.
Well, I guess you're a very principled brother in that aspect of things.
So let me ask you, Stanley. Again, we're still looking at the problem because I guess before we can move on, and hopefully before the program is over, I'm sure you have some ideas how we can turn this around, what can be done to turn it, because we have to turn it around.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Having identified the problem, we now have to come up with some solutions.
This is the solution.
Well, we don't need to get there just yet, but just bear that in mind at the back.
Yes, I'll bear that in
mind. Yeah, well, we have to get there in just a bit because time is slowly but surely running out from us here, so we have to get there in just a bit. Let us now move across, Brother Stanley, if you will, to your days now, your times, your enjoyment in another part of the world where you are now. How, give us a storyline there.
Well, it's a very interesting story. I came to Canada with my wife. I met her in Dominica, and we fell in love and everything, and she decided, okay, she's going to take me to Canada. So I said to her, first thing I said, let me tell you something. The only way I'm going to go to Canada with you is if they're playing cricket in Canada. And she said, yes, they're playing cricket. I said, you sure? She said, yes. I said, if I reach there, they're not playing, I'm going back to Dominica. I mean, could you imagine how, I don't know if it's ignorant or stupid or whatever, but also
that's a serious, cricket, that's a serious threat to Stanley.
Yeah, man. I tell her I'm coming back to Dominica. She's right there, man. I tell her coming back. She said, no. So as soon as we arrived in Canada, the next day she took me to the cricket ground. And I said, okay, that's cool. I can stay. And so I decided, all right, I'll stay. But it happened somewhere around that time, I think, of the year 1993, around that time, around June, I came just about halfway this season. And she took me to a practice. And I told the guys that I can play cricket and so on. And they said, are you sure? I said, yeah, man, I can play cricket. I'm from the Caribbean, but I'm a fast bowler, right? So one guy took me to the net. He took his bat and he told me, bowl to him so he can see what I do. So when I bowled the first ball, he said, what the hell, man? I can't believe that, man. That is just too quick. So that was it. They picked me on their team. And then it was like 2 or 3 weeks after, the whole province of British Columbia got to know about this guy from Dominica, and he's really quick and this and that. And so they picked me for the nationals in less than 3 weeks or so. So that was interprovincial. They picked me for that. But what happened is that I wasn't a Canadian citizen as yet. So the rules was you got to be a Canadian citizen to play in interprovincial, in the nationals. So they broke the rules. The president of British Columbia went to the, I think to the mayor or somewhere, and they said, listen, man, this guy has to play, let us bend the rules. And so they picked me.
Wow.
That was so quick. And my first game, I played against Saskatchewan. That was in 1993. And imagine, British Columbia had never won the championship since 1963. Okay, it was always Toronto winning the championship and so on. And the very third ball I bowled in the competition, I hit a guy from Saskatchewan, the opener, a bouncer, and he got about 26 stitches.
Wow.
So helmets just come out from everywhere. And you could imagine the popularity and the news.
26 stitches where, Stanley?
Huh?
26 stitches where?
In the face.
Wow.
I have pictures of it all now, so like it's so funny. But anyway.
So in terms of speed of that fast bowling, what figures you knocked up there in terms of speed MPH? 80 miles.
Well, at that time it was hard to figure out the speed, but there was a guy from Barbados who used to play county cricket in England, and he told me he know cricket really well, and I was at least in the high 140s.
Wow, well, that's a lot of speed,
I mean,
brother.
you can ask Sibo. Sibo, them know about me. You know what I mean? All those guys, they know about me. I play against Sibo as a young under 19 player, and they know about me. Thomas Kentish, all those guys.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you
So
were
You were like
fierce
a
bowler.
marshal.
huh?
You were like a marshal boy.
Yes, because I was about martial height.
Okay.
But I wasn't the guy who just extract natural bounce. So when I bump the ball, it's not coming too much head height, it's coming straight to your face. You know what I mean? So you have to take evasive action if it's really online. And I did cause a lot of damages. And we won the championship that year. I get the best bowler for Canada, the fastest, and I've been so for a long time. We won the championship 3 times in a row. And then I was supposed to go to represent Canada in the Commonwealth Games. Remember when they just bring cricket in the Commonwealth Games?
Yes.
So they didn't pick me because somebody said that I was in Dominica, and I wasn't. And when they get to realize I wasn't in Dominica, they got really upset about the news. So now, yeah, I've been playing a lot of cricket. I even have a record in Canada that hasn't been broken yet. In one game, I scored 109 and 8 for 21.
8 wickets for 21 runs.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Stanley.
Yeah.
I know the time is running. So given what you've said with the situation in Dominica, and it's still involved in playing the game up in Canada, I think you said earlier on the program you're at 62.
62 years.
Right. So what about the young ones in Canada? The young ones, how is the game resonating with young people up there? Are you involved with them? Are they playing?
I am involved. I coach
Tell
him.
us a little about that.
I am involved actively. I coach. In fact, I was coaching the UVic team, that is University of Victoria. I coached their team. I played a few games with them. I coach a few guys from St. Michael University School. I played all the time. I'm still playing with the young guys. And I also played with a few guys from the IPL that come down and play, because the cricket is big in Canada. It's not like Dominica. You understand? I don't know how to emphasize that more, but the cricket is big down there. And there are guys that come from IPL, India, all over the cricketing world that come and play cricket here and go back after the season. And that's what I do. I play with the young guys. I'm the oldest guy playing with the young guys, and I have to keep fit. And they love me playing with them because they learn a lot from me. You understand? I opened the bowling in Salim Jaffa already. Here, I don't know if you remember Salim Jaffa that played for Pakistan. Here and I opened the bowling here. I play a lot of cricket. So I played against MCC, the England MCC. I played against them. I took a 5-4 52 against them, and I played against them twice. I played against Singapore. I played against an Australian touring team. I played a lot of big cricket here.
So
cricket is huge.
Would you say it is growing and developing?
It's growing. Trust me. It's a lot of young people playing cricket here. It's growing. It's growing, and trust me, at the rate Dominica and West Indies is going, and the rate Canada is going, they might get some kind of international status, man. Trust me, because there are guys that coming from Pakistan and India and Sri Lanka, and young guys. If you watch the Canadian national team, even the one I'm playing on, the over 60s. There is no West Indians. It's guys from all over the world.
Okay. Yeah. Stanley, in terms of let's kind of turn our attention to the West Indies cricket team now. You being a cricketer yourself, I would want to think you had the opportunity to see and maybe hear the demise, I must say, of the latest match at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium 2 or 3 days past. We have two young, talented brothers now on the team in the name of Kavem Hodge and also Alec Afanas, who played against India. What would you say to these young men as they look towards a bright future for West Indies / Dominica?
Well, the first time I played against Hodge, he was probably about 18, and he was playing for Cavaliers. I played for Somerset, and we played in Windsor Park. He scored a banger century against us. And I said to Roy Marshall, wow, this guy's good.
That is young Kavem Hodge you're talking about?
Young Kavem Hodge I'm talking about.
Okay.
Young Kavem Hodge. I don't know Alec yet, but I haven't seen him. But I played against young Kavem. He was still around 18 or somewhere there. He scored a century against us. And I was like, wow, we couldn't get this guy out at all. We couldn't get him out. So I know that I knew from there he was going to be great. And I just hope that he got his chance, because I felt to myself, long time he should have been playing. And I'm not saying that as a Dominican trying to be biased, but when I watch the kind of a caliber of cricketers they're picking on West Indies side, Kavem Hodge should have been on West Indies side like 5 years ago, in my opinion. Okay? It's my opinion.
Yes.
Everybody have their own opinion. But I played against him, okay? And I have been following him all the time. And the kind of a guys I see them picking, even that game in Dominica. And I don't want to be biased. I love my West Indies cricket. I lose with them. I win with them. I am not really dissing them. I'm just saying the kind of a selection. There is no way you can bring Rifa and not bring Hodge. There's no way. You know what I mean? So already Atanas is going to make a big name for himself too. And I just want to encourage them to keep going from strength to strength. They will do good. But the selection of the team, that's what killing the team. Too many old guys in their 30s. They got to get the new guys, the young guys in and build them up.
So do you think, Brother Paul, that there is the stigma still around affecting West Indies team in a negative way, that is, of the insularity thing, big country versus small country in terms of selection?
But it's plain to see. 5 Bajans, none of them good. You know what I mean? And when I'm saying that to you, I'm not saying that in a way to degrade West Indies cricket. I'm talking about the type of selection, because the guys will select themselves. So you have Haynes that I kind of was surprised at him. You know, you pick 5 Bajans, man. Even when they go to qualify for the T20, you know what I mean? Not the T20, but the one days. So many Bajans. How come you don't have Kavem? It's impossible to have Kavem. And there are lots of other good players around the Caribbean. And those guys stuck with Bajans since I know myself as a young man growing up. It never stopped. You know what I mean? Serious. Watch Guyana bowling. Even Pummel is saying, what must I do? Pummel have the most wickets after Cornwall. You know what I mean? And Guyana's bowling, right? Everybody bowling, man. Bajan's not bowling because those guys are speaking only Bajans, right? And the rest of us wondering what's going on. You know what I mean? So the insularity is very strong, and it just favoring the Bajans.
So Stanley, do you think that in some way may contribute to the fact where youngsters might be saying, well, I mean, even if I were to play the game or excel in the game, it's not likely that I will get on the West Indies because of what you just said. And the emphasis is not there. Would that be a statement one can make?
No, you can't stop playing. You can't stop playing. This is our culture. This is who we are. This is what that make us West Indians. You know, like remember, politics don't make us West Indians. You know, it's cricket. You know, not even the soccer.
Could you say that again? Could you say that again, Stanley? Just what you say, that statement that you just made. Cricket made us West Indian. Politics did not make us West Indian.
Yeah,
That's
politics did not make us. You love that?
That's a profound statement.
Yeah,
like
politics did not make us.
Cricket goes back over a century.
Yes. Is that make us West Indies? Is that make us West Indian? If you notice, when West Indies lose, you know, I mean, just walk on the street and everybody you talk to, the emotions is high. You know, people can't eat food sometimes, their supper, they can't. It's lots of argument, lots of depression, lots of anxiety. Politics don't do us that because we can get away from it the next day. It doesn't look like we can get away from it when West Indies lose that easily. You know, the passion,
true.
That is who we are. We that makes us West Indies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, Alvin, go ahead.
Well, you could go off because I was
okay.
Trying for us to get into what he think might be some of the solutions. How can we turn the tide around and change where we are to something a little better?
Okay, so we'll come to that in the last leg of the program as you do. But Brother Paul, you made a profound statement there, and added to that, even made another in that just going back to that game. That game was supposed to end today, sometime earlier today. That test match between India and West Indies. And it unfortunately ended on Friday. Friday.
Yes.
And Saturday morning, Paul, when I went around, you know, I'm on the ground in Dominica. I feel the pulse. And let me tell you something. Men, as well as women, as well as even some young people, they were so frustrated. The tension was so high. Yes. You know, I heard a lady walking in Rosewood, basically talking to herself.
Yes, I tell you.
And then when I kind of catch on and latch on to what she was saying, she was talking in patois, West Indies, all I'm hearing is West Indies. And I could see the gesture. It wasn't something nice she was saying about the West Indies team. No. And so you are so right in that it is the cricket that kind of binds us together as a people in the West Indies.
Cricket that binds us.
And persons take that very, very seriously.
I will tell you something. I don't know if you're old enough to know that, but maybe our next guest there probably. In the 70s, when West Indies was really strong, that was the happiest day of everybody in the West Indies. Even in England, the West Indians in England that used to fight against the Teddy Boys and all those people that used to beat them up, they would use cricket, man. You know what I mean? We're stronger than you guys. You know what I mean? We can beat you guys. I mean, everywhere you go. You understand what I mean? Even here in Canada, a lot of these guys that don't know West Indies much in the 70s when we were strong, the young guys would say, "Boy, I want West Indies back. I want Marshall back. I want." They feel so sad that West Indies is where it is there, and they're all rooting for us. Man, listen, even though we're down in this side of the world, we have a lot of people that love West Indies cricket. Trust me, I know that because I play cricket all the time.
True. Talking about knowing the game of cricket, Paul, what would you have seen West Indies play of late? The selection of players, we touched on that already, but on the field itself, be it batting or in the field, what advice would you give to the team, the management, the coaches, as to how we can improve? I know cricket now is more mental than physical. What can you say in that department as well to our boys?
Number one, fitness. There is no way you can play any sport in this world and you're not fit. And that's what I mean. And I'm not even talking about food, because in Dominica with a lot of our dashing, with our Civic, with our stuff, so that makes us strong. It's not happening so for the young people of nowadays. They eat a different food. Things get more international, so to speak. I don't know if that's good or bad. But fitness. I remember I used to run from St. Joseph to Goodwill Savannah and back before I go on trials. You know what I mean? And that was a joke. So fitness is important. But there is no way West Indies right now can improve unless they bring back the cricket, as I said from the beginning, to the grassroots where it used to be. Because you cannot teach an old guy how to hold a bat. It has to be from small. The passion has to be from the time we're small. You know what I mean? That's where it starts. You know, we blame the players, we blame the pitch, we blame everything. But if you watch in India how those guys play their cricket, they learn from what we used to do to them in the 70s, and they said they're not going to make West Indies do that to them anymore. And West Indies, we regress, you know what I mean? We fall back. This guy, they improve their cricket. And another thing again that happened to West Indies cricket is the guys on them, the T20 right now. It's a money business. And I'm happy those guys making money. You know what I mean? I'm absolutely for that. But there's a big difference in playing T20 cricket and playing Test cricket and playing one-day cricket. And the same, most of the guys they're picking to play Test cricket, they're all playing CPL. That's a problem right there. When West Indies was strong, when we were strong, there was no T20. It was 60 overs before, and then they bring it to 50 overs because we started the first 2 World Cup we won, it was 60 overs. You understand? So with the T20, the guys on them only learning to bat 20 overs, and most of the batsmen, they don't even bat 2 overs. You know, they try to get 50 runs in 12 balls. You understand what I mean? Whereas if you watch the way the guys on them play the cricket in the Windsor Park over the few days there, it was like one or two guys get some good deliveries, but most of the guys, they go for big shots. Watch how the Indian guys play their cricket. You know, they stay there and they bat. You know, some of the guys that listening to us, they would know what they call no baby. No baby. It's like you can't hurt me today. You can't hurt me today. You know what I mean? And we don't have that anymore. We just have 2 big shots. Everybody clap, and those guys go down, and we lose the game. So we got to change that.
So are you saying again, Stanley, it goes back to the basic? We have lost the basic. We have moved from what the game used to be, and therefore you have those guys now lack that basic, get recruited, and not carrying the game through as, you know, the guys in the 60s and the 70s used to do.
But it's the basics in life. Is the basics you have to capitalize on. Is that you have to work on. It's like a foundation of a house. It's like you're going to learn mathematics in school. You got to learn the basics. You know what I mean? It's the basics, you know, and we lose the basics. We know, you know, cultivating a group of guys that just go there and hit the ball. They call it see ball, hit ball. That's what they do, and that's what West Indies cricket is all about. You remember Gavaskar just talking recently, and he said, "Well, the Ranji Trophy. Why have it if you're not going to pick the guys that's scoring all the runs in that trophy and that competition, and just picking the guys that play in the IPL?" You understand what I mean? Even Gavaskar is talking about what I'm saying, because even the Indian team did well against West Indies. I mean, you and I could do well against West Indies, but the Indian team is not doing well against the other strong teams per se, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not doing that well against Australia. They're not doing that well against England. It's only when the team will travel to India that they would have a little problem because of Jadeja and Ashwin. But if you minus those 2 spinners on the Indian wicket, those guys are not going to get people out easily because they're all IPL oriented too.
Yeah. All right, Brother Paul, in the interest of time is slowly but surely slipping away from us. Alvin will come with that round of questioning where he's asking about, you know, solution. Let me now go to the live feed so I can pluck out some questions there, some comments here, directed at you before Alvin
But
comes in.
just before you said that, I just want to say thanks to a few people here in Canada that really make my journey to going there, a success. Like my wife Gail, she's been there with me from day one. My sister Deborah, Barb's the caller, she's been there with me. And I cannot forget my boss at work, Mikon Hayes. She's a wonderful lady, and I call her my sister. She's my boss. She encourages me a lot. And anytime I have to go and play cricket anywhere, once I tell her, I can get time off. I just want to make sure that I highlight this people.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, that is good.
Stanley.
That is good.
Wonderful.
We have here Maury Jules is writing here again. Teach the youths with our cocoa bat, softball cricket. 7-year-old up, start teaching them about our superstars too. Coulson Benjamin writes here. The cricket game is all Brother Paul's life. This man, I know he played cricket all his life. So someone by the name of Coulson Shillingford is basically sending some kudos your way here.
Coulson, I know Coulson.
Indeed. Dave Bertrand is asking an all-important question here. I think I saw a question from Dave. Dave says here, is it possible for you, Mr. Paul, to get West Indies cricketers to play in the Canadian League? Is it possible? If
it's possible, I can get the West Indian cricketers to play in Canada?
Yes, meaning I'm thinking some of the cricketers that are not being selected to go to the,
I think it's possible. I just have to talk to the big guys. And because as I said, there is a lot of players from all over the world that comes to Canada for the season we have here and play cricket. Some of them get paid, you know what I mean? And I could work on that.
All right, cool. One more comment from Brother David Joseph here. It says, cricket, oh, how I love this game as a youth. In fact, after learning woodworking under the tutor of Mr. Martin Allen, my first personal project was to carve out a beautiful bat as well as two set of thumbs accompanied by balls. That's how much I was into my cricket. He says, and finally, he missed those games.
Yeah, man. I can relate to these guys because we when we raised as kids, cricket was so much part of our life that we used to actually melt plastic like nylon and make a cricket ball. And when that hits you on your foot, on your knee, man, wherever, man, that is problem. So you have to learn to play off the pads for that not to hit you. And so many great shots that you learn to play without pads, because I don't see nobody here in Canada, the young kids play without pads. Everybody have pads and helmets. It's a different time. But remember, when we raised, there was no pad and helmet. When it's your turn to bat, you got to go there. And I see fellas used to have a little thing we call bobo. And most guys trying to target that because and how much fellas get hurt. So you have to learn to play shots.
Yes.
And protect your feet.
Brother Paul, we don't want to seem like we're rushing you off here, but we have another.
No, that's good. I'm pretty happy for the 10 you gave me.
Another appointment there with another Dominican, a special Dominican as well, in the name of Brother Ozzy Lewis. And so he'll be coming and talk to us about more cricket. But in terms of wrapping up the discussion, let me move back to Alvin to ask you that all important question again before we wrap up.
Well, Brother Stanley Paul, again, you have just scratched the surface. There's so much conversation that can take place as it relates to cricket. We haven't even gone into what one might say the heydays of West Indies and the non-heydays as it is now. But in terms of what you said in your earlier comments, as it relates to the young persons in the village not engaging and playing the game as obtained before, how do you think we might be able to turn this around? What some suggestions you have? Because it's good to identify the problem.
I hear you, but I have a solution.
Some solutions.
I have the solution. It's a very simple solution.
Yes, so
It's just a very
let's hear some of that. Let's hear that.
Very simple. You just go back and organize the villages. That's all you have to do. You don't need to have $1 million. Just one good guy, two good guys go send you and say, hey guys, we're going to bring up under 19 back, or we're going to bring up the village cricket back. You go Salisbury. Them savannahs still there, you know. Nobody using them. You know, the only one that is not being used, and I notice it's kind of you remember Mero? Mero was a very small cricket ground, but they produce cricketers galore. You know what I mean? They're all there. It's just when we organized the Western League, there was no big money. We just come together, meeting. We get 3-4 fellas from St. Joe, Kulibistri, Maho, and we get the meeting and we say, okay, guys, let us get it together. And you just do it. I mean, right now, it might take just a little bit of money, but those things not hard. It's just people that know how to organize stuff to just do it.
Okay.
You don't need to have no rocket scientist behind that. It's just do it, man. And Dominica, I find, I'm from Dominica, we have a lot of talks, and very little action. You know what I mean? We need to have action. We need to just go and do it, man. If in case I have to come and help, because I've been part of all those things all my life. You know what I mean? It's just go and do it.
True.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So I'll tell you what, Brother Stanley.
Yeah.
I support you 100%. Sometimes we do more talking than we act. So we're gonna try to commit you in finding and implementing some of those solutions. As I
I
said,
will do that.
we have just scratched the surface. I can hear the passion in your voice and your comments in terms of where you'd like to see that cricket go. And certainly we have the work cut out here for us to look into that.
But
Yeah.
one more thing before I go, one more thing. Right now, to get the young guys in all the villages together, you don't want to start the 2-day competition first on the weekends or the 1 day. You start with a village T20 for the wild, something that would spark up the interest because this is where it is now. So you get the smaller version for the while. So you get the guys that are interested. You get fellas like Ozzy Lewis and all those guys that I know some fellas you don't want to get, but I won't tell you their name now because it's not playing the cricket in my time. Some of them run overseas and some of them still are wrong. You know what I mean? I know them really, really well. You don't need those guys anymore. Their days are done. Ozzy's a good guy. But you know, we can talk off air on that one, but I know them. They just a lot of talk, very little action.
Absolutely.
But you bring the T20 together first. Give them that wow, you know.
Yes,
for sure. Lofty and I will be getting back to you on that, Stanley.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Stanley, Mr. Paul, I want to say thank you very much on behalf of the many folks listening there and the Civic Vibes team. As I said, we have another appointment with none other than Ozzy Lewis. He's coming up next in just a while.
Yeah, man, that's my main man.
Yes, indeed. So we want to thank you very much, brother, for spending some time with us. The hour was well spent in terms of the energy from the live feed, a lot of questions, comments, suggestions coming away. So let's leave that line of communication open, sir, and we will sure welcome you back some other time. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Stanley, and all the best. All the best, man, in your endeavors. All right? All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to take that all-important break now at 7 o'clock. We midway the program at this time. Let's listen to one from David Rudder. He entitles this one, Rally Around the West Indies, as we make a way to hear from Brother Ozzy Lewis in just a bit.
I will watch my phone finish, but I will stay.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rule seems coming to an end.
It was just that much higher. And you were playing with your elastic band.
Some of the old generals have retired and gone, and the runs don't come as they did before. But when the two says go, don't you know the desert is come? We've lost the battle, but yet we will win the war. As long as we rally round the West Indies, one forever.
Yes, indeed, folks, that is the rallying cry here. Continue to rally around our team, the West Indies team.
Pretty soon the runs are gonna flow again like water, bringing so much joy to each and every son and daughter.
So all of you still there with us, we encourage you to share the live, share the information at this time. We're about to go into the segment number 2 right here on the Civic Vibes program.
We got to rally round the West Indies, one forever, yes. Rally round the West Indies, stoke up the fire, way down under a warrior falls. Michael holding falls in the heat of the battle. Michael should have left long time. I heard an angry brother shout, Caribbean man, that is the root of our trouble. Oh, in these tiny theaters of conflict and confusion.
All right, folks, thank you for sticking around here with us. It's already 5 minutes past the good old hour of 7 o'clock. A very candid discussion we had so far with Brother Stanley Paul, brother from Layu, a local man indeed in Canada out there, still making a name for himself, especially in the cricketing world, that is. Now we have in our company none other than Brother Ozzy Lewis, a leading sports personality / commentator in Dominica. I know Brother Ozzy Lewis have a lot to say in terms of the, should I say, the dismal performance of the West Indies team, the just concluded test match at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium between India and our boys from the West Indies, indeed. Brother Ozzy Lewis, special good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, officers, and it's good to be on your show. Okay.
Yes, good evening. Nice, lovely.
Can you hear me properly?
I'm hearing you properly. I'm seeing you properly as well with that broad smile.
Okay, good. So go ahead. I'm there.
All right.
Right.
Alvin Thomas, you want to say an hello to your good old buddy?
Yes, good afternoon to my good old buddy. That used to be my boss, Ozzy Lewis, Osborne Lewis, Director of Audit. We worked for many, many, many years together. And right. I'm telling you, man, we had some great old time.
That's great. Well, Alvin, with your bell, you look professorial right now.
I knew you was going to come with something, Lofty. I knew that.
That is Ozzy for you. That is Ozzy for you.
It's good to see you, Alvin. Yeah, good.
Good to see you too, man, Ozzy. Really good to see you.
Hey, all the time on various, programs and so on. Doing a very fine job, man.
Thank you, thank you. And I listen to you too on the sports program on a Thursday, man.
That's right.
I normally tune in, man.
Yeah, good to see you. You did a good job. Yeah.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
Right. Yes, Loftus.
Yes, Brother Lewis, I know that you have a lot to say. Let us start somewhere, Ozzy, as we recollect, as it were, what went down from Wednesday of this week in Dominica, where the West Indies went up against India, and basically they were thrashed inside 3 days.
Well, Lofty, before Ozzy look at that specific game, I know we have an hour. I would want Ozzy to give us an overall perspective of context of the West Indies and cricket as a whole throughout the region.
Yeah, we will come to that. We will come to that in the discussion as well. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, all I can say the West Indies to say that they were disappointing That's an understatement. They were pathetic indeed, but it wasn't unexpected to me. I expected it. So we're going to go back and look at the composition of the team, first of all, and then we look at the conditions, the ground on which they play. Two things are very vital to a cricket match. What's the composition of your team, and what's the quality and condition of the ground? So let's look at the composition of the West Indies team as they presented themselves at Windsor Park, right? The first cardinal problem I find the West Indies team is the number 3 batting position. Your number 3 batsman is supposed to be the best batsman, or at least close to the best batsman on the 11. Your best batsman bats at number 3 or number 4. If you look at the great number 3 batsmen over time, you can go back to Don Bradman. Let's stick with the West Indies. Clyde Walcott, Rohan Kanhai, Lawrence Rowe, Vivian Richards. All these guys batted at number 3. You know who bats at number 3 for West Indies today? An all-rounder guy who's a part-time bowler and has 1 first-class century. Raymond Reefer is his name. He's a number 8 batsman who bowls a few overs. A number 8, that is close to the tail. This guy is your number 3 batsman, a pivotal position. I gave you some names like Kanai and Richards and Kalicharan and Lawrence Rowe, Clyde Walcott, Greg Chappell, all the Peter May, all the great batsmen throughout history. Most of them batted at number 3. You have to look for a very good batsman, number 3. We do not have a number 3 batsman. That's very pivotal and crucial, first of all. Now, the batting, the West Indies, very suspect against good spin. It has been so for quite some time. Windsor Park wicket, I'm coming to the ground at Windsor Park, is famous for being responsive to spin bowling. Our own Shane Shlingford has bagged 2 10-wicket hauls on that ground at Windsor Park. Shane Shlingford. It's a happy hunting ground for good spinners. And when you have the class of Ashwin and Jadeja, India has the best spinners in the world. You're facing this guy at Windsor Park, you're looking for trouble. It was just inevitable. I'm not surprised that they reached as high as 150 and 130. Because I know the quality of these spinners, Ashwin and Jadeja. This guy would spin out on anything. The pitch at Windsor Park looked more like what they call a subcontinental pitch. A pitch as they took it from India, Eden's Park in Calcutta, and brought it to Windsor Park with them. It was a pitch that has been made for, tailor-made for the spinners. There was no chance for, and another thing it is, people believe when it's raining and so on, and normally it's high overcast, that you send the opposition into bat. But from my experience, the Windsor Park on the first day, whether it rains or not, or it's overcast or not, is the best day for batting. Why? Because the pitch is a sluggish pitch. There's no real pace in it. And as the day goes on, the days go on, by second, third day, the wicket plays at variable heights. And you see, and bounce. You saw spinners bouncing that ball. So there was no respite for the West Indies batsmen, which, again, the Achilles heel for West Indies is good spin. It's been known for some time. So West Indies batting, spin or pace, this present crop of West Indies batsmen do not have it. When I said that, I don't want to have the young boy Atanaz in that. I'm very difficult to be impressed. And I certainly was impressed with the young man from Dominica, Atanaz, not because he's a Dominican and a big thing was making about him. I looked at him and he was poised, he was composed, he was never flustered, he was never frenetic, he just batted a normal innings. And I believe this guy has certain attributes that will take him very far. Okay, I think I said quite a lot so far.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Too.
So based on what you said, Brother Luis, the West Indies, in your opinion, they made a good choice to have batted first on the first day?
Oh, oh yes. If they had batted second, it would have been worse for them. They wouldn't have scored for all. Because on the first day, the pitch was at its best, or at least bad if you want to put it that way. Windsor Park wicket to me has always been a sluggish kind of wicket, slow wicket, a turgid wicket that makes you see the guys are batting, and even the great Kohli took out 81 balls before he could score his first boundary. And if you saw him bat, when he scored that first boundary, he punched the air as he had scored a century. It was so difficult to play strokes. When that pitch has got pace in it, you can't play your strokes as you want, and the bowlers, the cricket becomes what they call attritional. It's a grind. Slow scoring. The scoring rate was about Loftus 2.5 and over. India batting at that. West Indies 2.5 runs and over throughout the match. It was very slow scoring. Guys could hardly play their strokes because the pitch was sluggish. And as it went on, it took for spin, and there was bongs, and the off spinner Ashwin was just a destroyer on it. So it was, when they batted first, it was a correct decision, definitely. But when it looked as though they might have got a good start when they were 31 without loss, right before the first wicket fell, that was a mediocre start, right? But still, it wasn't a bad start, like they were 10 for 2 or 50 for 2. But they played some careless shots. I don't know if you recall the guy just on the cusp of lunch, Blackwood hit a ball.
I remember that shot. Yes, I was right there.
Last shot caught behind the bowler at mid-off deep. The last few balls before lunch, he's the vice captain and a key wicket. And that was the 4th wicket down before lunch. You can't lose 4 wickets in the first session of play after winning the toss. You have wasted the advantage of the toss by losing 4 wickets by your lunch interval. That's disaster all over there. So they started badly, and I would think most of the batsmen contributed to their own demise, especially the first innings.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Any further thoughts, Alvin?
Well, based on what Ozzy has just explained and described, would you say then, Ozzy, that it was inevitable, or could they have done otherwise?
All right, Alvin, good point. I think in the best of conditions, in superlative conditions, West Indies would hardly be able to beat India. India is one of the strongest teams in the world, right? And they just came from playing a World Test Championship and were beaten by Australia. But they have been in the World Test Championship finals now 2 consecutive cycles. And India over the last, I would say, 15, 20 years, has been a powerful team with pacers, spinners. India can field about 2 or 3 different teams, and the 3rd team India picks will beat the West Indies. Do you hear me? I repeat that without any fear of contradiction. India can pick their 3rd best team of the crop they have now and still beat this present West Indies team and beat them any day. So even in the best of conditions, this West Indies team cannot measure up to India. However, you're playing cricket and you can compete and fight. And it didn't seem the West Indies came ready for a fight. As I told you, some of the batsmen frittered away their wicket. But I want to single out the Atanas boy. I think some people felt he was on 47, take his time and get 3 singles, get to his 50. But the ball he got out to Alvin and Loftus was what they call a half tracker, half pitch, short ball. He played a correct shot. But he miscued the ball. He mistimed it.
Yeah.
He didn't execute.
Ozzy, yes. I don't want to get you off your track too much. Just hold those points there. But the device that you are talking to us from, is it possible that you could lay it down like more steady? Just rest it somewhere, because it is sort of flickering while you're talking.
It's better now?
Yes, right. Much better. Yeah, that's better.
Much
better.
on my knee, so it's steady now. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So if it, yeah. All right,
Yeah.
yeah. So you're making that point about the ball that got Afanas out.
Yes, I was saying that I heard one or two people trying to criticize, not a severe criticism, but at least why he went for that shot, or he should have just groped around and collect 3 more runs to get to his 50. But the ball was a half tracker, short ball, half pitch, then half a long hop. He played the correct shot to pull the ball to mid wicket, but he miscued the ball, mistimed the ball, and got caught. It was the correct stroke, but it was a poor execution of the stroke. But the idea was perfect. And I want the shot the ball demanded. Some people miscue balls, but you cannot blame him for being reckless. He was not reckless. So I just wanted to clarify that point.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. I think in that match, Aussie as well, we had three guys making their debut. I think the keeper for India was one of them, and this Jaswal guy who went on to score 171, and also our very own Alec Afanas. What would be your comment, Ozzy, in terms of the difference in terms of the application now between these two teams? What you saw on the day, how they applied themselves to the circumstance.
All right. India realized after skittering out the West Indies, who had won the toss and batted first and scored a paltry 150 under par. After winning, it was out by tea time on the first day. They realized that they have a huge advantage and they're going to bat just once. They decided to bat in a slow, attritional way. They were only scoring around 2 runs and over. They were not going to try to lose wickets. They had time, so they batted on and on. They applied themselves to the situation. They had plenty of time. Test cricket is not a 20 overs match or even a 50 overs a side match. Test cricket lasts 5 days. You have 4.5 days left in a match. You bowl a team for 150. You're now going to bat when the conditions are at the best. You make the best of it by batting just once and amass a huge lead. So that was their policy in there. Batting, as I said, attritionally. No fast batting. This guy Jaiswal was batting at the rate of what? Under 40 the rate. Some people, very slow. It was under 50 for sure. Kohli took 81 balls for his first boundary. And Sharma, the captain, he sent, normally Rohit Sharma is a blazing batsman. He again batted. They were just going very slowly, absorbing the pressure. And there's one thing, they want to amass a huge total so they don't have to bat a second time. So I thought their tactics were were good, and that's how you play Test cricket. You have the opposition, you grind them, you keep your throat on their neck. Test cricket is a hard job. It's not like a little 20 over the side game. You can bat, like India could bat for 2-3 days. The match finished in 3 days. India could still be batting all now after us if they want. But they batted and they declared at the correct time. Why? Because there's still a lot of overs left on that third day. And they saw the degree of spin Ashwin and Jadeja were getting. So when Sharma declared, it took me by surprise a bit. Not that it was a poor declaration, but I thought he was going to bat on for the rest of the day because there are 2 whole days left. But Sharma, they're playing for points. They're playing for, it's a cycle for World Championship. I think it's 12 points for victory.
Yes,
and if rain about, you don't know. So Sharma decided with the wicket playing, so with bongs, variable bongs, and his spinners are deadly, just put the West Indies in half of the day on that Friday and just rump home, and they won the match in 3 days. So all their tactics was just professional, good tactics indeed. But I want to stress that point of having Raymond Riffa at number 3. I think that Raymond Riffa scored only 1 first-class century in his career. He's not a young man to say the guy of 23, 24, 25. The guy's in his 30s. He's not a batsman. batting at number 3 for a team like West Indies. I told you the names of the people who buy number 3 before. Viv Richards, Rohan Kanhai, and so on. You picking a guy who bats at number 8. I feel that investigation, that selection of Raymond Riffer should be investigated. I'm so strong about that.
Wow, indeed.
As he's firing, boy.
It doesn't make sense.
I know. So
I told you the guy is not a young man. He's in his 30s. He has only 1 century. He's been around for quite some time playing as an all-rounder. He's what they call a makeshift batsman at the selection panel is now forging into a number 3. Number 3 position on your batting team is a pivotal position. I give you the names of guys at number 3 as your key man.
Yep.
So that you have a poor number 3 bat, it affects the whole team composition.
So Ozzy,
one of the weakest batsmen.
Yeah. So Ozzy, in your mind, as we on that point there, who do you suggest should have come in that number 3 spot?
Well, number 3 has been a trouble. You know, a young fella called Bonner before. I found he's played for the last 2-3 years. I don't find he was a failure myself. I wouldn't pick Raymond Riffer before a guy called Bonner.
Okay.
I think he had a name, Nkrumah, I think is his first name.
Nkrumah Bonner, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen him at. He played test matches against Bangladesh. He played a few test matches against England. He's certainly a full-fledged batsman. So I don't see why you have to pick Raymond Riffer before people like Bonner. And I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And there's a guy called I think his name is Mackenzie, who was in prolific form. He just scored a double century in one of the first-class matches in the Caribbean region. I think he's only 13. Best they had picked a young guy like Mackenzie and blood him at number 3 and have him there, then have an old man like Raymond Riffer, who is not a batsman, bat at number 3, in my opinion. So the young Mackenzie guy who's just come on the scene, I think he's only 20 or 21 years old. He scored quite a few centuries and a double century recently. He's on the team right now, you know. When I say on the team, only 13, but he was not picked on the 11.
Yeah.
So I don't see any future with Raymond Riffer. I'm nothing against Riffer, but he's not a young spring chicken. He's about 32 years old. He's been around for some time. He has only 1 century in about 10, 12 seasons. He's not known to be a batsman. He bats number 8 normally. All factors against his success at number 3. And it really, when people like Richards and Lawrence Rowe and Rohan Kanhai and his guys think of a successor to them who was number 8 batsman, is doing them a great disservice.
True.
So
Alvin, just before you come in there, a question from the live feed for Mr. Lewis. It asks the question here from Nigel Corrid. What adjustments, Ozzy, do you think that the West Indies team need to make going into the second test?
Okay, in the second test match, obviously, they must get a proper number 3 batsman, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A batsman of accreditation as a batsman. I've never seen the young Mackenzie guy, but he appears to be very promising in recent matches in the region. He scored a couple of centuries, and he scored a double century. And for people who have seen him, they feel he's a good prospect. Because he was, Atanaz was the guy who had the edge, of course. But the Mackenzie guy from Jamaica, I think he is, has good credentials, right? So if you have to fail with a batsman, best you fail with a proper number 3 batsman who is young, who has potential, who knows what it is to bat high, and he will develop. Then you have Raymond Riffer, who's 30-odd years old, and by no means a pure batsman. He's an all-rounder who, to me, before he was more of a bowler, medium pace. And if he doesn't even bowl so much again, because they're trying to make him into number 3 batsman. So I think number 3 position is crucial. What other changes? The West Indies team, I don't know. I don't know if they can get 20 wickets to win a test match. You must get 20 wickets to win a test match. I'm not seeing the bowling firepower they have to get 20 Indian wickets in particular. I can't see it myself. Roach, to me, is reasonable, but by no means, Roach doesn't look to be penetrative anymore. I think Roach is getting to the point where he's had a lot of injuries. He's been a great servant of West Indies cricket. I don't think Roach is still that force he was before. Now, the other guy from Alzari, Joseph, is
yes.
a good, yeah, he's cool. He has good pace, but he tends to be expensive. He must have more control. He was going at 5 runs per over. You don't want guys to go more than 3 runs and over, 3-4 runs and over. He's a bit too expensive, but he's a good prospect. But generally speaking, I'm not seeing the West Indies bowling firepower against this powerful Indian team. Now the Jaiswal fella, you'll mention him, he scored 171. In his debut, first test match, the guy is only about 20 or 21. He already has 9, 10 first-class centuries, not 1 or 2, 10. And his guy scores a number of runs in the Indian cricket leagues, especially the white ball cricket. So this guy is really on, to me. And again, used to bat, well, a guy called Gill, to me. Gill was displaced, as Shubman Gill was displaced from opening the batting to get Jaiswal in. But Gill himself is another prolific batsman. I tell you, India has an embarrassment of riches as the problem, an embarrassment of riches. And the third division, you like that term. They're embarrassed with riches. You have too wealthy.
Yes, right.
So Ozzy, given what you have just said, I mean, I'm looking for a ray of hope, but I'm not seeing it. I mean, because one, you started off by saying that the pitch was a problem.
The pitch,
you know,
yes.
It wasn't the best. It was more favorable to India. And now, from what you've been saying, it looked like they don't have the what would I want to use?
Firepower.
The firepower. So where do you see that going? I mean, where do you see that going? I mean, what hope is there? Give us some hope.
That's what I'm asking about. Which bowler on the West Indies team is going to give you a haul of 10 wickets and to take 20? You must take 20 wickets to win a test match. I'm not seeing the bowling unless on one day they have a green top. They're going to play in Trinidad. The Trinidad wicket, as far as I know, is not a wicket of pace or special spin. It's a good batting wicket. I don't think on that wicket in Trinidad, if it lives up to reputation, the West Indies are going to run through India. It's not a pitch that, like in the old days, when you had Sabina Park and Kensington Oval, they were fast wickets and the pacers could run through. In those days, India hadn't got fast bowlers, you know. India before used to pick spinners, Alvin. You had 4 spinners, and 4 spinners in bowl every test match. They used to open their bowling in the past with Gavaskar and Bedi at times, bowling spin, slow bowling, you call it slow bowling. India developed over time a battery of fast bowlers. Like a fellow called Bumrah is not there. Sami and quite a few others there, not there. So India have covered all their bases. West Indies, to me, well, that's why they're number 10 now, Alvin, on the thing, in the rankings.
Yeah, they're way down. Yeah, they're way down.
You know, they're way down in the rankings. I'm not even going to the fact that they were just real to say that when they played the World Cup match qualifiers, they were a disgrace. You know, people like associate teams beating them. The team scoring what, 374 against West Indies. I'm going now off the track a bit, talking about white ball cricket, the living overs cricket. The West Indies were once the World Cup champions. First World Cup champions of West Indies in 75, and 79.
That's
And
right.
in 83, the third World Cup, they could have had three-peat, but they failed by a few runs. Now, in those days, West Indies were all the people around the world wanted to see the West Indies with their great fast bowlers, their stroke players. They had a special brand of cricket that attracted the public. Today, the West Indies are far cry from the glory days. Far cry. If today people... Go ahead, sorry.
So Ozzy, I'm glad you raised that, because we had our guest earlier, Stanley Paul, with us, and he was talking about the youngsters not playing the game and the game not being played as it used to. And like, as you would know, that's where the recruits come from, put it this way, from all the islands. You start playing this game young, you understand the game, you got the techniques of the game, you put in the work, and then you're recruited there. Now, we had the Clive Lloyd, the Frank Walcott, the Vivi Richard, the, you name it. So
the fast bowlers.
Right. So how do you see the future? Because that's what we have to begin to look at, to bring back West Indies team to what it used to be. And I believe it can be again. So do you see that? And what do we need to do?
Alvin boy, that question has been asked over and over again. It's easier to ask the question than to answer the question. All I'll say is, it doesn't seem to me, at least in Test cricket especially, that the West Indies have the appetite for Test cricket. Test cricket is not, they seem to prefer and gravitate to the white ball cricket, the franchise cricket, the money cricket, to be blunt there, the money cricket. People like Narayan, your spinner, and Puran. Puran is playing cricket now for about 10, 15 years. He has never played a test match or even a first class, maybe one first class match. Why? And he's one of the best batsmen of the white ball version, because that's where the money is. Narayan used to be called a mystery bowler. He played one or two test matches, but his focus was always on playing the franchise white ball cricket. Why? You can answer the question yourself, Alvin. And you have many chances. This guy from Jamaica, the Russell, I think it's Russell, the all-rounder. Russell has a lot of talent. The man can, one of the best stroke players in his heyday, and Russell's a good fast bowler, but he doesn't play test cricket. He's not, Pollard on the West Indies team never thought of playing for test cricket either. This guy is thinking of playing the franchise cricket where he can make the millions, I think. So I'm not seeing the West Indies as being a force in cricket for a long time, Loftus. I'm sorry to disappoint you if you have any optimism. But
I know.
I want to underline, not because they're Dominican, I was very impressed with Atenas. I gave you the reason to why. The man was composed, he was cool, never got excited, he played correctly. Either pace, there wasn't much pace, but in the spin, he got out to a low catch because the pitch was spinning, as you could see, and he was caught very close to the wicket.
Yeah, and what I noticed of him as well, Ozzy, the balls that he faced and he hit, basically all of them came out from the middle of the bat. He basically middled the ball.
Right, there were no edges. He was playing from the middle of the bat. I personally, I was happily surprised to see this guy against India on that pitch playing so assuredly and with confidence.
True. Yes.
Composure. The man looked like a guy who was playing cricket for at least 10 years. The man was just playing with what they call aplomb, assurance. He got out in the first innings playing this miscued pull shot. But even second innings, I think he got 28, I think.
28, yes.
28.
On that treacherous wicket, for a time he looked quite reasonable. So you can see he had
a matter of fact, also, he top scored in both innings, eh?
He top scored in both innings, well deserved. And he bowled pretty all right, and his fielding is very good. I think he has a very good prospect.
Yeah.
Well, without tripping you, he was on a program on DBS on Saturday morning, Connecting the Dots. And I mean, when you listen to this young man, he has his head on his shoulder. I mean,
True,
how
yeah.
articulate he was and how I think they asked the question whether he was under pressure. And his response was, no, there's not pressure. I had a certain responsibility to perform,
Yeah.
and I went out there and discharged that responsibility. I found that was so profound. And when the guy talks about his ritual, how he starts his day in the morning, he gets up, he does his exercise, he prays. He says his prayer. And he does what he does and has his, his breakfast and what have you. I mean, this guy just 24, and I mean, he has a lot ahead of him, and he's going to do well.
I think
he's going to do superbly well.
Yeah, I believe the guy has a sound head on his shoulders, and if eventually this guy can go on to be the captain of the West Indies team.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I'd be surprised, because he seems to have a very intelligent head for cricket on his shoulders.
Absolutely.
Sure.
The batting was never scratchy, he never edged the ball.
He understands the game too. He understands the game.
Yes. No, not because of Dominica, this guy really was impressive. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he was. A matter of fact,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, he was, because a matter of fact, I heard some of the commentators as well, even the Indian commentators, they really looked at him and complimented him in that regard.
Yeah. Indeed, he played like a mature guy, well composed, and well poised. He was never frenetic or shaky or anything like that. Against two of the best spinners in the world,
True.
Ashwin and Jadeja are world-class bowlers. Ashwin has nearly 500 test wickets. Jadeja has well over 300. Between these two guys, they have over 800
plus.
Test wickets.
True.
And they're playing on a pitch that looks like a pitch from Calcutta in India. No, Calcutta.
They might have imported it in, man, or it looked like they imported it in.
Travel the pitch.
Ozzy,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, someone is making an all-important point here, which we must read here to you. It's a bit lengthy, but we must read it there to you. Someone by the name of Zoru Zinpampo. That is a Facebook name. Zoru Zinpampo. He says here, hey, Ozzy, just wanted to take a moment to commend you on your in-depth analysis of the recent cricket game. Your thorough breakdown of the match was truly remarkable and demonstrated a profound understanding of the game. Your ability to capture the nuances of each player's performance and dissect the strategies employed by both teams was truly impressive. It was evident that you put a lot of time and effort in researching and analyzing the game, and it certainly paid off. Your insights and observations provided valuable context and enhance our understanding of the match. You have a knack for articulating complex concepts in a clear and concise manner, making it accessible for both casual viewers and seasoned cricket enthusiasts. Your dedication to providing accurate and unbiased analysis is highly commendable. Your passion for the sport shines through in every word, and it is evident that you have a deep appreciation for cricket. Thank you for sharing your expertise and enriching our cricket watching experience. Your analysis has not only entertained, but also educated us. The final paragraph reads, we truly appreciate your contributions to the cricket community. Keep up the fantastic work.
Yes, well, I'm very happy to hear that. I want to thank whoever, what do you call them, a caller or contributor, whatever you call it.
Yes, contributor, yes. Zoru, that goes by the Facebook name of Zoru Zimpampo.
Zoru, yes. Well, yes. But I want to thank Zoru very much for these comments, and I always try to do my best. Well, Lofty, I've been involved in cricket since I was about 5 years old, I played the game at the highest level. I played for Dominica and the Windward Islands when I was still at school. And I played 4 or 5 years for Dominica and the Windwards before I went into commentary. And I listened to almost every test match. So, I mean, cricket to me is just like, almost like just walking. Even better than walking to me. It's as simple as that. And I like to be objective. I mean, when you play cricket, that doesn't mean that Team B can't beat Team A, even though Team A is much stronger. But the likelihood of it happening has to be a freak result. A freak, like the West Indies beating India would be a freak result. They would need a day where the pitch was a green top, lot of grass on it, and pacers going through, and they would run through India for scoreless like 150 for all. But they know themselves they must bat and score 400. Can they score 400 with Raymond Riffer, a number 8 makeshift batsman, batting Rohan Kanai's position? Can they do that? The batting a problem too, because I don't find the Bonner fella. I find the Bonner fella was impressive. He wasn't the greatest, but with the crop they had, Blackwood, Bonner, Kyle, whatever his name is, the guy, Kyle, the all-rounder. But definitely that number, they must change that number 3 batsman.
Carl Myers.
Carl Myers, thank you very much. Carl Myers. This guy is a useful cricketer, but he's a middle batsman. I wouldn't put him number 3. But even then, he's a much better player than Raymond Riffer, just on the face value of it alone. I don't know why Raymond Riffer makes the West Indies. When we heard of West Indies in the past, I told you about like Vivian Richards, people like Lawrence Rowe, Rohan Kanai, Clyde Walcott. I gave you some big names there when we first come out to bat, like Viv Richards. The opposition will be trembling, Today you have some jokers playing for West Indies, man. It is something else.
But Ozzy, would you say that I guess they're working with what they have by putting this?
Well, you're right. What they have, yes, but when what you have tried what you have for. I think Riffer's played about 11 tests recently.
Yes.
It's a good enough sample to see 11 test matches. And this guy, I think he's scoring a 1/2 century. A batsman scoring 1/2 century in over 20 innings as a number 3 batsman has to be. He doesn't destroy your team, man. You can't help it.
True. I agree. True.
You need to Alvin. Best you fail with a young man of 21.
True. I agree.
That's my argument. The Mackenzie boy, I've never seen him bat, but I understand he has good potential. I would try him before Riffer. I'll fail with him before I fail a 30-something-year-old man who has no prospects. I'm sorry to sound so forthright.
Well, it is your forthright opinion, Ozzy, and that is the man we know you to be, especially in the sporting world, for sure.
And
Ozzy, yes,
others too, like you, when you're forthright, like you.
You call a spade, Ozzy. That's how you've been.
Yeah, I'm like Loftus and Alvin Thomas, man. We're made of the same ilk.
Oh yeah.
Ozzy, I asked our first guest we had here that question. I'm going to ask you that same question. Do you think insularity is still playing a role? Because some persons of the mindset it did play a role before. Is still playing a role in the composition of West Indies team?
That's a good question. And the fact that Raymond Riffer, a Barbadian, can gain selection. The chairman of selectors is none other than Desmond Haynes, a Barbadian. Great Barbadian, he's now called Dr. Haynes, but doesn't mean he's not biased. He's a great batsman. He was a great batsman. I admire Desmond Haynes, one of my favorite cricketers. But as a selector, I give him a 0. That's how forthright I am. I love the guy, great batsman. He might be a great batting coach, great cricketer, great man maybe, but he's a poor selector. And the question you asked about, let's repeat it again. If you want to say I've answered it.
In terms of the
insularity.
Oh, insularity, yeah. Well, not to the extent of before, but it still raises its ugly head even now. Okay. And now and then you see instances of it. It's not as bad as it was in the days of the great late Irving Shillingford, one of the best batsmen of all time in the Caribbean, who could hardly make the West Indies team. You know, this man had super talent, God rest his soul. And
True.
he made the West Indies team at 33, because in those days, you had a lot of cricketers from the islands. So no matter how good you are from the small islands, boy, you have to be better than the best to make it in those days. I can go way back to a guy called Alec Reed, 1950s. Alec Reed was the best wicketkeeper in the world. And they did not pick him to go to England in 1957. Alec Reed is a known case of serious insularity, Alec Reed. And there are many other cases like that. But I would still say it obtains quite a bit in West Indies cricket. Still.
Yeah, yeah. Before Alvin comes in, Ozzy, there's another question that I want to, another scenario I want to put to you. I watch the West Indies team bat, well, this week gone there, and I've always been watching the team in terms of their performance. To me, very honest about it, Brother Ozzy, there is some sort of mental toughness that is lacking from the majority of the players. For example, when these openers come to bat, when you watch the other teams, there's this, they move around the wicket, they are not perturbed. They're basically telling you as a batsman, I come here to stay. It is your duty to get me out, but it's my duty to stay. The West Indies team, the guys, when they come around us, is like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and some sort of adrenaline kicks in. And what can you say? How can you suggest to them that mental toughness that is required to play test match cricket is employed and executed?
You're quite right. You're very right indeed. You can see these other batsmen, like India, for instance, a young guy playing his first test man called Jaiswal. By nature, he's a very attacking batsman, attacking stroke player. He was going at 2 runs per over. He was just playing within himself, and his whole approach was to bat for as long as possible. Why? Because he had time, and there was no rush. So he didn't go for his strokes. But there's a guy on his day. You have seen him in the IPL. He's a devastating stroke player.
Not tripping you there. No, when the man was out on 171, he was annoyed.
He's still vexed, very vexed. 171. Exactly. So that shows the mental approach to it is for Test cricket, that's very vital. In other words, you put a heavy price on your wicket. These guys put a heavy price on their wicket, these Indian batsmen. So that's the whole thing, the whole culture. You see, Test batting is not just going and playing a whoop, whoop, and you're out, You have days, at times, you can bat a whole session and score around 10 or 20 runs for a session, depending on the attack at the time. And later on, you make up for lost time. You'll get some slack bowling later on. The main thing, occupation of the crease is very important. You cannot score runs in the pavilion. You cannot score in the pavilion. You have to be out there to score the runs. And I agree with you, some of the batsmen lack mental toughness, be real determined, and so on. Definitely. So yes. I would agree with that comment by you, Loftus.
Yeah, sure. Alvin, yes.
Yep.
Alvin, your mic is muted.
Here's Alvin.
Alvin, we're not hearing you.
Yeah, I can see Alvin now, but are you hearing us still, Alvin?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yes, we were not hearing you. Go ahead now.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. No, I think again, going back, we mentioned Alec Afanaz, and on that program on Saturday, the question was asked of him, how does he see the game? What is his, in terms of his approach? And he made a very good point. He says you can have the talent and the skill. You have the talent to play the game. But if you don't have the discipline, put in the work that is required, you won't, reach success.
Yeah.
And I think basically what I hear was he's saying is that these guys are there, they're playing the game, but they don't have the discipline that goes with it and the perseverance to win the game. So how do we instill that? How do we bring that across? Because when guys like Sobers and Clive Lloyds and the Vivi Richard and the Frank Warrell and all the names that you could call on, there was that hungriness to win, that discipline. How do we bring that back, Ozzy? How do we bring that back? Because we need to get back to those days. We can't just say, well, boy, you know what? West Indies is on the low. They are out there, and just throw our hands up in the air. We got to find a way. One person one of our folks there on the line, they made an observation. Let me see if I can get it. They speak about having some cricket academy throughout Dominica. How do we get that back? What do we need to do? Because we're almost on the hour. So we need to address that as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Alvin, first of all, you need youngsters, right, who approach the game, and youngsters who are what they call teachable. They are coachable. They love to learn. You know, there are some young guys who feel they know it all. Some people feel they know it all. They might score a little 50 here and there, and they feel, I know it all. Their whole attitude. The thing is this, you have to be very teachable and be willing to learn, and every day try to improve every day. This great batsman, like Stephen Smith of Australia, this guy stays for hours in the nets. He's #1 test batsman in the world. He might score double century today. Next day, he's back in the nets receiving practice for a whole day again, you know. The same Mr. Bats all in the night in his hotel. You know, it's a dedication. You have to be dedicating, apply yourself. So you have to get guys of that ilk, that caliber, who are prepared to learn and to do the work, do the hard yards. There's some guys just feel, man, I've made the West Indies team and I can just score all the little 30 and so on. I'll be all right, man. Some guys have kind of that attitude. So you have to get a crop, no matter how it is. Look for this young crop that are teachable, coachable, and will akin to the learn. All this every day, every other match, try to improve incrementally on your game. So you have to have a hunger, and also try to be inspired by the former greats of the West Indies, the great Garfield Sobers, the great Wicks, Warrell, Walcott, Lance Gibbs, the great Wes Horner. So try to be inspired by these guys who did so much for West Indies cricket, and try to make them your role models and be fixed on that. It's a mental thing, because I mean they have some of them have the ability, but it's a mental thing, Alvin. How you train that? They have so many coaches these days. They have mentors. They have more backroom staff than players now on the West Indies team.
True.
They have bowling coach, spin bowling coach, fast bowling coach. They have coaches coach. Everybody's a coach.
I know.
But there have been the net result. Just seeing results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it is 5 minutes to.
Yeah.
It is 5 minutes to that good old hour of 8 o'clock when we must shut down in just a bit. But before we do that, let's hear a line or two from David Rudder, where he's asking us in the region in particular to rally or continue to rally around the West Indies. When we come back, Ozzy, after that break, we're going to have a wrap up around the table, wrapping up with you. All right?
Okay, good.
then we will win the war. As long as we rally round the West Indies, one forever. Rally round the.
Yes, folks, the advice is for us to continue rallying around the West Indies, huh?
Pretty soon the runs are gonna flow again like water.
By the man David Rudder.
To each and every son and daughter. So we gonna rise again like a raging fire. As the sun shines, you know we gonna take it higher. We gotta rally round the West Indies. One forever, yes. Rally round the West Indies. Stoke up the fire.
All right, folks, if you are just tuning in now, you missed a lot. I can tell you that we're just wrapping up that all-important discussion here with none other than Brother Ozzy Luis out of Dominica. Those of you in the region or for the field looking and listening on, thank you very much for your eyes and ears. Ozzy, as we're about to bring down things here in terms of, wrapping up that discussion on the commentary, as it were, on the cricket that was just held in Dominica and, the West Indies performance by and large over the years. What would be some of your closing comments, sir?
Well, I would like to see the West Indies go back to the glory days, but I can't see this happening, at least not in a hurry, not now, not in the foreseeable future. But you can never tell. But it's a great pity because I know what West Indies team was in the early days, since they began playing the Test cricket. 1928, I think they began playing Test cricket and hit their high mark, their glory days, their heyday between 75 and 1992. I'd love to see them get back to those days. But we can only hope and pray that I think the world needs a good brand of West Indies cricket. They had a great brand and around the world before. They can get back to it, but it will take a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. And let's hope someday that the West Indies team will be much more, at least be more competitive and might not win every test match, but at least be competitive and bring glory to the West Indies, at least occasionally. Okay.
Yes, indeed. Alvin, any final thoughts before Ozzy go?
Well, I mean, if those words are coming from someone like Ozzy, someone who has been following cricket for many, many, many years, clearly it's comments that need to be looked at very seriously. I don't think he makes those comments just out of jest. But having said that, though, I think we have to roll up our sleeve, those of us who are still around, person like yourself, Ozzy. Earlier on, we had Stanley, Paul there with us, several others. You have Locke and Sebastian still around in Dominica. We need to roll our sleeves up and do whatever it takes to create that, to do what needs to be done to bring back those heydays. I think West Indies cricket and cricket in general is not just a sport. I think Stanley made the point. It is bigger than even the politics of our region. It's nationalism, it encompasses all of that. I mean, cricket has been around for over 100 years, a century. Well, when back in the 1890, when it started, first test match played in 1928, so it's been around. And as one of the folks on our feed say, here in the West Indies, we need to invest into establishing a few cricket academies in order to develop some much needed good players. Otherwise, we'll be complaining for some time. So I guess the question remains, what do we do? And how do we approach it? And each one of us play our part. I think those heydays can come back. It will require some work, Ozzy, I'm sure, as you rightly pointed out. But I think we can bring it back. And cricket is going to be first again for another 100 years, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Alvin Thomas, for your closing comments to Brother Luis here. Brother Luis, final comments, sir.
Yeah, well, Loftus, thanks for having me on the program and having me interacting with yourself and my good friend Alvin Thomas. As I said, we worked together at the audit department for years, and he knows we were no nonsense auditors. All this crap happening today, just to say that will not be happening, right? Just a little bit I'm saying. So it's good to interact again with Loftus and with Alvin Thomas. It was a great pleasure, and we must do it again some other time.
And you had many, many, many folks, not just in the region, but globally, looking and listening to you as a Aussie.
I'm glad, I'm very happy about that they listened and they enjoyed the discussions. You know, so I'm very proud and happy about that. Thanks for the opportunity.
I think what we need to do is we need to have a part 2, and we need to look at West Indies itself as an institution and see, like you say, what are some of the areas we need to think? Is it selections? Is it the young men not getting the right recruits, the techniques, whatever it is? I think we need a part 2. I'm sure our
all right.
will be happy
Just before Ozzy go, we have somebody on the telephone. Let's take that call. Caller, good evening. You are right on limited time.
Good evening, Lofty. Good evening, and to my friend Alvin and your honorable Ozzy. That's why I call Lofty, because listening to Ozzy, right? It just really wants you to come back and go back and play cricket, you know. And I just want to say thank you to Ozzy, you know. I mean, it's just a pleasure. I could listen to him for days, Lofty. And you could see the love and the passion he has for the game. And the good old days, how we wish we would bring it back. But listening to him, it really motivates me, Lofty, because I was involved in club cricket in Salisbury. Terrors on my team. So, you know, I know where he's coming from. And I called just because of he lost. I just want to big him up and tell him, Dominica, love him regardless of what the situation is and what we face in Dominica. Keep doing what you're doing, my brother. And that's the first time I've seen his face looking better than his song, Lofty. Thank you, brother Ozzy.
All right, thank you, Bob Marley. That's my friend Bob Marley.
Indeed. All right, well, Ozzy, again, thank you very much for taking time off your Sunday and spending it here with us at least an hour. It was worth the while. Thank you, bro.
A pleasure, Ozzy. Take care, man. We'll be in touch again.
Okay, Alvin, good to see you, and keep up, man. Keep the good
All
work.
right.
Keep the fire burning, man.
I will. I will.
Okay.
Take care. All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, Dominica, that is it. That is where we have come to an end of another very interesting and informative program indeed, right here on Civic Vibes. We had 2 candid conversations. First started off with Brother Stanley. And we ended up the discussion with Brother Ozzy out of Dominica.
But down here, just a trick in the armor.
And to you guys who commented and those of you who called, thank you very, very much indeed.
Some of the old generals have retired and gone.
That is what that space is all about each and every Sunday from 6 o'clock. The Civic Vibes, educating and continue to educate our people each and every time. This afternoon was a sports-oriented program, and thank you to all our contributors, all our special invited guests in the name of Brother Stanley Paul, and none other than one of the lead commentators, commentary in cricket in Dominica and sports on the whole, Brother Ozzy Luis indeed. Let me move across to Brother Alvin Thomas for his final thoughts before we, pack our bags as well and make tracks from here.
Yes,
Brother Alvin?
Yes, Lofty. I think we had a very interesting and engaging conversation this afternoon. Both our guests, Stanley Paul and Ozzy Luis, were really on point with their comments, their contributions, their knowledge of the game and their analysis. I think it was very refreshing and enlightening. I will say, man, the folks on our social platforms, it was flowing. I mean, we couldn't even keep track of that. I think Marshall Lawrence made a very good observation. There is to revamp cricket is very costly. All sectors, including coaching, sponsorship, promotion, pitches, venue, curators, the whole 9 yards have to be involved. And I agree with that. And I think we need to have a couple more of those conversations. I'm sure Ozzy and Stanley seems committed to contributing to that ongoing conversation. It's not something that we can end and we have to continue. But I think by and large, we had a very good, lively conversation. It's amazing how quickly time flies by. So again, to all our folks on the field, thank you. We were not able to read through all of your comments, but we noted them. And I'm sure folks can always go back and look at the recording and listen to it again. But again, a very good program. And Lofty, continue to have a great week, my brother.
Well, Alvin, yourself, and thank you. I want to thank you publicly for always making time of your Sunday, Alvin, because it's a commitment. It is hard work. It is arduous work, brother. A lot of times, some persons just see us appear every Sunday from 6 to 8, and they think, well, oh, you guys just come in and talk. But there's a lot of hard work, preparation that is
behind the scene, the research and all that
into such programs like this. And I want to thank you for your contribution in all that you do. I just want to read a final comment here in terms of commendations to Ozzy, and that is coming from none other than Brother Jeffrey Brisbane. He says, Ozzy is a doctor of cricket. And so that is where we will wrap it up. Ozzy Lewis got his doctorate tonight, as it was from Brother Jeffrey Brisbane.
Absolutely.
So folks,
that's why we need to set up that cricket academy and have folks like Ozzy, Sibo, Lobby, all these people who knows the game, who knows the sport. Let's set up an academy, a cricket academy, and let's see how we can revitalize the game throughout the length and breadth of Dominica. Work with what we have and take it from there.
All right, so folks, those of you still there with us, thank you very much indeed. But it's about that time, 10 minutes past the good old hour of 8 o'clock. And we have to bring it down in just a bit. So see you guys next week, same time, same place, at the spot that you got, that is Civic Vibes platform, both on YouTube and Facebook, that is from 6 o'clock. So from me to you, bye-bye. We love you.
After some signs, we gon' take it higher. What we gonna want? Rally from the West Indies. One forever, yeah. Rally from the West Indies. Never say never. Now they're making restrictions and laws to spoil our beauty. But in the end, we shall prevail. This is just not cricket. This thing goes beyond the boundary. It's up to you and me to make sure that they fail. Soon we must take a side or be lost in the rubble in a divided world that don't need islands no more. Are we doomed forever to be at somebody's mercy? Little keys can open up mighty doors. Rally from the West Indies. No one forever, yeah. Rally from the West Indies. Never say never, no. The runs are gone, so I can like bringing so much joy to each and every son. Then we gonna rise again like a raging